This, everybody, is Jengkol, also known as Jering, dog fruit, it's a really weird name, and jumbo nut, jumbo bean, and stink bean. Not to be confused with these stink beans, although very often when you find these stink beans, you may also find this stink bean. They're sold sometimes by the same sorts of vendors selling stinky beans. And when I bought these, the vendor was very happy that I was buying them. She's like, "You like these?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Jengkol. Like, I only get them in the jar at home." She's like, "Oh, you gotta try it fresh." And one thing I noticed though is that she was selling it in two forms. It was being sold as tua and muda. With Google Translate, I found out that tua means young and muda means old. The old ones, muda, were 8 ringgit a kilo, which is like $2. And tua, the young one, was 6 ringgit, which is like $1.50. So it was like a bit more to buy it older. And I asked her why that was, like why one was more expensive than the other. And she said with the muda, that one you can actually eat it raw, and tua, you need to cook it. I thought this was kind of interesting because Jengkol contains a compound known as jenkoline, and it is not a good compound. This is something that can make you sick. When you cook this, that compound gets reduced down, so it's safe to eat. So I am going to try a little bit of this raw, but don't take my word for it or that woman's word for it. It does contain a compound that you might want to be careful around, okay? I also want to point out that this is not how it grows in nature, not like one little single chunk like that. When you get it at the market, I think they break them up. So I picked up one that had a friend, but it usually would have several of these guys growing in a little spiral thing. I don't know how to open these properly, but as you can see, there's a little seam on it. And I think if I go at that seam with a pocket knife, I can probably get into this without too much harm. Yeah, there we go, that worked. It is smelly, but not that smelly. I have smelled a stinkier Jengkol in my past, but let me just take a little nibble of it raw and see what it's like. It's not very good like this. Although she said that you can eat it raw, I would not recommend eating this raw. It's giving me pretty bad dry mouth. It's very astringent. And the flavor in there is very bitter. One of the things that Jengkol is most prized for is its funkiness. It's a stinky bean. And when it's like this, I'm not even really getting that much funkiness to it. A little bit, but not as much as when I've had it in the past cooked. So I think we need to cook it. As you can see, the water's getting kind of dark. That is the stinkiness leaving these beans. The reason why I'm boiling it twice is to reduce some of the funkiness. It's a very funky nut, maybe too funky. While these beans are boiling, I'm going to work on the next step. So over here I have some galangal. It's a relative of ginger. It's got like a little bit of a citrusy, herbal kind of note to it, which I think will be good. I think this is a small onion or a large shallot. I don't know. I've got 3 garlic cloves, 2 tomatoes, and 1 chili pepper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these up real small. If I had the ability to grind them, I would have grinded them, but I don't. I'm not going to use all of this galangal, by the way, just this little piece here. I should probably take this moment, to point out that I don't really know what I'm doing. Yeah, this is not a cooking channel, in case you stumbled over here. You're wondering, like, hey, is this a cooking channel? It's not a cooking channel, believe it or not. This is a channel about fruit. So we're talking about this guy. I'm most curious about what that's going to be like once we cook it. So this, what I'm doing right now, is just kind of like the flavors that are used in this sort of preparation. I looked at a few different recipes. Some people make curry out of it. Some people saute it in like a sambal sort of thing. But still, I have a feeling that what I'm doing right now, whatever the hell I'm doing, it's going to be good. So stick with me, okay? Okay, so 10 minutes later, and here's what we got. Looks pretty good. So, let's see how I did. Yeah, so this is awkward. It doesn't taste the way that I was hoping it would. When I have had Jengkol prepared at a restaurant, which I'm sure is using like the jarred kind, it has a texture that is more firm. It's like biting into like a dense nut. In this case, the beans are too soft. Maybe I cooked them for too long. It's more planty, you know, like more vegetal. And it also doesn't really have a strong funk to it. A little bit, but not that much. So, you know, not everything I do is going to be a success, guys. This is a channel of experimentation. It's a channel about fruit. And in this case, I did something wrong. So I am back in New York City right now and looking at the footage, putting the footage together to make this episode, and I'm not happy with how this turned out. You know, this is a food that I like, and I did something wrong or something. I don't know if it's because it was muda or tua or whatever, but like I did not make something that I enjoyed eating. So we're gonna try it again, this time the way I usually do it, with the pickled Jengkol. It's done. It's done. It takes a long time to cook these. That's one issue with it. And I'm now kind of figuring what that lady meant by you can use them raw. See, normally you need to either boil these for a long period of time or you need to let them soak overnight, or preferably both. Maybe what she means is you can skip that step and just immediately saute them. So with this process, I took even the pickled ones, which have soaked, you know, for years, however long they were in that jar, and even then, you gotta boil them. So I boiled them for 30 minutes, removed the skins on the outside. I also split them, that way I can see inside to see if there's any bugs, which there were. So then I put them back to boil for another 30 minutes with the lid on. Then I cooled them down, smash them, and the reason why you smash them is to let the spices go in, is what I've read online. Then I fried them for about 5-10 minutes, and then I got rid of some of the oil. Then I cooked a sambal mixture that I made. This had chili pepper, ginger, garlic, onion, and lemongrass. Probably something else that I'm forgetting. Oh, a tomato. There's a tomato in there. And I blended that up. I fried that until it started to change color. Then I put the Jengkol in there and I let that cook for another 5 minutes so it could absorb the flavor, and that's what I've got. And this looks like it's supposed to look. What I did before, I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe because I overcooked them. Maybe that's why. It lost a lot of its flavor, and the flavor that it had was not very good. So this, let's see if I did it right. Yes, maybe it's better if you use them fresh, but the pickled ones are good. The texture of this is nice and chewy, and the sambal mixture that I made is good. It's good. Very flavorful, very spicy, and the flavor of the bean itself is a little bit more buttery than a stink bean. It's a little bit nuttier, like a chickpea or a butter bean or something. It's got a little bit more of a, you know, mature flavor to it rather than a green edamame taste the way that stink beans do. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the problem was with the one that I made with the fresh Jengkol. I'm sure that if you do it properly, it's really good. But either way, what I have right here is absolutely delicious. I love Jengkols. I think I prefer this over stink bean. I like both, but with this one, I can eat this whole portion and be totally happy. With green stink beans, I use them more sparingly. A lot of people hate this, won't lie, a lot of people hate it. I really like it. If you like funky things, if you like stink bean, if you like natto, if you like, you know, sauerkraut, you know, funky stuff, cheese, you know, it's kind of tickles that part of your taste buds. And I like to tickle those taste buds, guys. I like that flavor. Definitely check this one out. You can get it in a jar, you can get it frozen, maybe try like Amazon. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description of Amazon link if I can find one myself. Otherwise, try like an Asian supermarket. It shows up, and if you see it, pick it up, try it. You might like it. Probably not, but you might like it, and you might even love it. I think that's all I have to say about this, guys. I'm gonna go enjoy this. I'll see you next time. I would like to give a big shout out to Smarter Every Day, Lofty Rex, and JMac. They are mega patrons over on patreon.com. Patreon, I'm sure you've heard about it, but basically it is how I can afford to go on all the adventures that I go on this channel and how I buy all the fruit that I buy. So if you are interested in supporting the channel, check out the link in the description below. Another way to help out is by going to my website. My website has all my videos organized into categories, which is pretty cool, and I also have t-shirts for sale over there. So check it out, and I will see you all next time.